and welcome back to Barkera's podcast. I'm your host, Elisa Van Dyke, and I'm super excited to be joined by two very special guests today. We have a returning guest, Barbra, who we introduced last episode as founder of the Cane Corso Puppy Training Club, powered by Barkera on Facebook. We also have a new guest, Liz Robles. So Liz is the founder of the Cane Corso Rescue, located in Westlake Hills, Texas, which began in 2005, and she has successfully rehomed over 1,000 Cane Corsos. So thinking back to last episode, we kind of discussed why Barbra created the Cane Corso Puppy Training Club, which was to help promote breed-specific education and awareness for new owners regarding the Cane Corso. Today, we'll dive further into the reasons she felt this was needed, and then tie in why Liz created her rescue in the first place as well. But before we fully get started, would you like to both introduce yourself and just give us a brief introduction about your expertise and your perspective in the pet industry? And Barbra, we can start with you and then we can go to Liz.
Sure. Hi, I'm excited to be back on the podcast. To any new listeners, my name is Barbra, and I've worked in the veterinary field in South Florida for the last 30 years, and I'm just super passionate about educating owners on preventative pet care. I have had the pleasure of owning and working with many different breeds over the years. I currently have a 3-year-old Cane Corso, and I'm just fascinated with this breed and their intelligence level, and I want to help spread breed-specific education and awareness to owners that are new to this breed.
Hello, everybody. It's great to be on the podcast, and thank you for having me. My name is Liz Robles, and I'm the founding director of Cane Corso Rescue. I'm also the mom of 3 girls, and I am a pediatric therapist. And I'm I specialize in autism, and that is another one of the things I'm very, very passionate about. I got into the breed in 1999, and when my boyfriend at the time, who's now my husband, showed me a picture, and the rest is history. My first little fun fact here, my first Cane Corso, Rock, he and I earned the very first obedience title in the AKC ring. So that's a really exciting thing for us.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, thank you both. I'm super happy to have you both here, truly honored. And Liz, thank you for introducing yourself. I love that fun fact, and I'm excited to hear some more. And then welcome back, Barbra. So before we dive into our focus of education to battle the adoption surrender cycle that has just come with the Cane Corso's onset and popularity, I would like to tie in Liz's perspective a little bit more by starting with an explanation for the audience about what a shelter is versus a rescue. Many people kind of interchangeably use these terms, but they mean 2 very different things. A quick overview just shows that a shelter has government funding to house the animals, typically in kennels with very standardized basic care. Rescues, though, they rely on volunteers, donations, community support to provide that more specialized care. Liz, would you mind just sharing your perspective on that, and having been a rescue owner for over 20 years now, what you kind of think makes rescues so special in providing care to unique breeds like the Cane Corso, who really do require that breed-specific care and awareness?
Yes, of course. Definitely a rescue has a much warmer feel. And I think it really and truly all comes down to the community. That's the biggest thing. Our rescue community truly is the heart and the soul of Cane Corso Rescue. And so we rely on each other for everything. And it is in this way that we do the very best for the breed, for our foster dogs, in turn for our adopters, and then other Cane Corso owners. And like you said, the community definitely has become just an absolute pivotal in helping the Cane Corso breed because they are very specialized. They're just not like any other breed. So I decided to start Cane Corso Rescue because I needed the support in '99 when we got our first Cane Corso, and I didn't have it. We didn't have it. There was just people didn't know the breed, and so I was told a lot of things about my dog. That everybody said he should be euthanized, and from that day forward, I said, you know what, I'm going to do everything in my power to make this right, to help him. And I vowed from that day forward that I would do everything possible to help educate others, and so that nobody else would be in the position we were in '99. So that's what I've set forth to do.
That's cool.
Yeah, thank you, Liz. That's amazing. I just love hearing the passion behind it, and hearing how you got started, I think, is really amazing and special, and will bring a lot of insight into the topic that we're going to get to today, going from this place where not a lot of people knew about the breed, and now all of a sudden there's just this current situation with the rise in popularity, and we have these new challenges from backyard breeding and irresponsible ownership. It's just incredible knowing organizations like you exist to just help take care of these Cane Corsos after being through so much. And Barbara, you of course have also dealt with seeing the harsh reality of this adoption surrender cycle, especially with these new challenges that are coming up during your time in the veterinarian field, as well as I'm sure in your Facebook group. What is your perspective, and how have you seen owners approach the topic of shelters and rescues when they are thinking of having to surrender their own dogs?
Yeah, I would say my perspective working in the veterinary field, I've seen many owners over the years have to surrender their dogs for various reasons. When someone has to seek out options, I have noticed the biggest factor that plays into the decision making is basically just time. The shelter option tends to correlate with quicker decisions or being a last resort if someone can't find a rescue fast enough. Now, if someone has the time to research their options with their local rescues or breed-specific rescues, it does tend to offer their dog a potential better outcome rather than just dumping them at the shelter as a last resort.
Well, thank you both. I know I sometimes catch myself using the terms rescue and shelter interchangeably, and so it's just very interesting hearing the similarities and differences amongst the two, as well as just your experiences both regarding the situation that owners may go through during this cycle of adopting and then having to surrender, unfortunately. And then just, again, hearing the passion in both your guys' mission to help the breed specifically is very heartwarming, and I think connects perfectly into our topic for today, this idea of lifelong learning to generate awareness about the Corso's specific needs in order to challenge the backyard breeding and the irresponsible ownership that has come from this sudden surge in popularity. I mean, right now, we went from almost extinct in the 70s to now being ranked number 18 in over 200 dog breeds worldwide. So kind of diving right into this, Barbara, do you mind sharing with us your perspective on why this sudden surge in popularity and demand for the Corso is happening today?
Yeah, certainly. The Cane Corso is just a magnificent breed known for their large, formidable appearance and protective nature. They're also incredibly loving and highly intelligent dogs, making them attractive to so many potential dog owners who see them as, big lap dogs on social media. Unfortunately, this misrepresentation has helped create a surge in popularity that has also attracted the attention of backyard breeders looking to, profit from this new and growing demand.
Yeah, I think knowing that a lot of this demand does come from a place of good intention is important. I mean, people see this beautiful dog and they kind of perceive it to be like a Labrador, for example, that they just want to have and to love and just take care of, they think, like any other dog. But of course, there is that gap in knowing the actual responsibility and accountability needed for the Cane Corso, and it's created some detrimental consequences. Another thing that you mentioned that is definitely concerning is the backyard breeders who arguably have less of that good intent and just want profit. Can you expand on what backyard breeding is and the direct effects that you see it has caused on the Cane Corso breed?
Yeah, sure. Backyard breeding is basically when, a pet owner or inexperienced breeder with little knowledge about responsible breeding practices breeds dogs without proper health testing, genetic screening, or a commitment to the overall preservation of the breed standards by the American Kennel Club. They often prioritize profit and making money over the health and welfare of the dogs. This has led to an increase in these inexperienced breeders breeding dogs that shouldn't have been bred in the first place, unfortunately. And their puppies have a higher chance of being born with genetic health issues like hip dysplasia, behavioral problems, and temperamental issues. If there were only reputable breeders producing the dogs to begin with, then there wouldn't be as many surrenders or a need for so many, rescues in the first place.
Yeah, and it's heartbreaking to hear because now you have these dogs who need even more specialized care to compensate for these health issues on top of the gap that we already were facing with just the lack of awareness and providing the foundational basic Cane Corso care and needs. And that's kind of where we see this adoption surrender cycle really boom. People get these dogs from these breeders with little preparation and end up having to surrender to shelters or rescues, which, Liz, as a Cane Corso rescue owner, I can't imagine how many times you have witnessed this all over the nation. So would you mind just sharing your perspective on how you have seen this trend of backyard breeding kind of affect the breed and the rescue community over the years?
Absolutely. It has been super challenging, very challenging. The rise in the popularity has led more Cane Corsos to be surrendered to shelters and rescues, our rescue specifically, I would say. Many people acquire these dogs without fully understanding their unique needs and characteristics, and they're often unprepared to handle the breed's strength and their protective nature. That's a big one. Their protective instincts, they're just not prepared for that. And this oftentimes leads to issues, and ultimately they give up. The families give up, and the dogs are relinquished. So we very, very quickly saw an increase in people obtaining Cane Corsos when they became AKC recognized. So that was early 2000s, 2009, 2010. And so our numbers significantly went up about 6 months to a year later. So we saw them skyrocket. And it's really tricky because being on the rescue side, we do everything. The community, our rescue community, does a lot to help the foster dogs and train them and bring them up well. And I specifically work very, very hard with my personal Cane Corsos, take them out in public, to advertise the breed and to educate and to show the rescue and all that. But in the same way, I have this internal battle because I have to let people know this is not how they come. They don't come like this. This has taken hours and hours and months and years of training and socializing to get a dog that like this, right? They don't come like this. And I think people sometimes get trapped in that. So anyway, it's tricky. It's very hard. But yes, we have seen a huge increase.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's very hard having that balance of being like, this is a beautiful, loving, amazing dog. But if you don't know the story behind this dog and what this dog needs, I mean, that demand that I'm sure is already very challenging to face is only going to continue to increase, unfortunately. And I mean, I saw on your website that just in owner surrenders alone, you have had over 600 Cane Corsos surrendered in 2022. And I mean, that's not including the shelter calls that you receive, I'm sure, on an almost daily basis. And I know you have been able to help out a lot of these dogs in finding a loving home again, which are stories I definitely want to hear in the future. But can you just share some insights into the kind of situations you have encountered as a result of the backyard breeding, the adoption surrender cycle, and just the overall miseducation?
Yes, certainly. We often see Cane Corsos surrendered because their owners didn't anticipate the time and effort required for training and socialization. I mean, that's huge. Some are surrendered because of behavioral issues that could have been prevented if they were managed properly and early training and socialization had started. The people didn't either have the guidance or they just didn't know what to do, right? So it's truly disheartening because the dogs are wonderful. I mean, the breed is incredible, but they end up suffering due to humans. I hate to say it, but ignorance. In some cases it is ignorance. Other cases they don't know where to go. They don't know who to turn to. So I think the biggest thing that we try to educate, people in our community does is or what we hear people don't know, and so thus we try to educate them more on is they don't understand that they're guardian breeds. That is, you're not going to train out, you're not going to get rid of the guardian instincts of this breed. They're not golden retrievers. Golden retrievers are wonderful, beautiful dogs, but they are not Cane Corsos. And that's just hard for people to understand. And then of course, like Barb said, they're highly intelligent, highly intuitive. So it's a lot, but those are some of the biggest reasons I think we see increased surrenders. Some of the things that the owners are seeing and don't know how to handle.
Of course. I mean, this is where that education piece that you exemplified, even in just starting your rescue in the beginning when you were educating yourself, is just super important. At the end of the day, a lot of the things do really come down to us as owners, our willingness to learn, be patient, and seek out that community and support to raise your dog properly. And I mean, this is, of course, where Barkera can really shine, as that is the whole mission, combining pet owners with professionals to make this process really manageable. But this is also where your Facebook group, Barbara, is also extremely valuable, especially specifically for Cane Corso owners. What would you recommend people do to address this problem and become educated regarding Cane Corso ownership?
Education is key. Anyone interested in owning a Cane Corso should join our Corso Puppy Training Club and just thoroughly research their unique characteristics. They should seek out, reputable breeders who follow a breeder code of ethics and prioritize health and temperament over over profit. And avoid purchasing from backyard breeders or pet stores. We also encourage people to consider adopting from reputable organizations, a rescue organization like Liz, like Liz has.
Exactly. I think you and Liz are just both really great communities to be an active part of, but also just great resources to learn from. Going back to you, Liz, you described the high demand, and then hopefully with Barbara's group and their education, and then the education that you provide yourself as well, the cycle can just really help to be prevented in the future. But certainly you are having to face this demand and really just adapt your rescue and your methods to address this concern today as well. You already mentioned how you continuously do amazing research and devote yourself to helping the Corso. Do you mind expanding on how your research is, or how your rescue is handling the situation differently and the process that you go through?
Certainly, Lisa. Yes, and Barbara is right on about the backyard breeders, unfortunately contributing a lot to this problem, to this big problem for the breed, especially over the last few years. When a Cane Corso comes into our rescue, we do assess their needs. We work with our community of fosters to provide necessary training, socialization, and then we work to match them up perfectly with experienced and responsible adopters who do understand the breed's requirements. Our goal is to find the specific Cane Corso, that one that it might be at that time, a loving and forever home. Because we don't know how many times, we may know that somebody surrendered them to us, but we don't know how many times they were surrendered before that. And that's also something that has hit me harder over the years, is realizing that some of these dogs are passed around and passed. But yes, ultimately they go to their loving forever homes, where the dogs can thrive and be happy and the families are happy, right? So our fosters are in foster care for a minimum of 3 weeks. Minimum. That's kind of like the basic requirement, because it does take that long to really start seeing the dog get comfortable and understand them. So we always tell fosters, we really want to know that you're committed for a minimum of a month, and then the foster parents expose them to all kinds of stimulus, all kinds of stimuli in a safe and successful environment. And the community helps with that. All the volunteers, we all work together to kind of help that. And then after we get to know the dog, better, then that's when we start being more specific on what families that have applied might be a good match. And then, I'm learning that Cane Corso Rescue is very unique in this process of putting them in foster homes and observing them and doing all this for a minimum amount of time, because I'm seeing that a lot of other families are obtaining dogs very quickly, and they may go straight from the relinquishing owners to the new adopter, or straight from the shelter to the adopter. And that is something we absolutely try not to ever do. And I'm finding that that's very unique to Cane Corso Rescue.
Well, Liz, I'm just truly in awe of not just only how much you have done, but how much you are still doing. And then also just how much your passion really shines through. Both of you, thank you for joining me today. And thank you for shedding light on this important issue facing the Cane Corso breed. It's clear that education and responsible ownership are crucial to not only ensure the well-being of the Corso breed, but to also start to inhibit this cycle that we are currently seeing of breeding, adopting, and then surrendering. I think just as an owner, to remember with any breed that you need to do your research, seek out responsible adoption facilities or rescue organizations, and be really prepared to just provide that lifelong and loving home. And again, just thank you both.
Yeah, thank you, Elisa. Let's hope that by working together, and raising awareness about the breed and responsible breeding practices, we can make a positive change for Cane Corsos everywhere.
Absolutely. Thank you, Elisa. Thank you for helping us spread the word about responsible Cane Corso ownership and our rescue efforts. I continue to learn every day. I make mistakes every day. And, I feel like that's just the learning process. That's what I've done since 1999. And thankfully, I have our community. I have our rescue community, and I am in touch with them 100% of the time. And it's truly valuable to me.
Yeah, thank you so much. And fortunately, that is all for today's episode of Barkera's podcast. But thank you, everyone, for tuning in. And make sure to support Liz and her rescue by visiting her website at canecorsorescue.org. You can find information on how to foster, adopt, and just support overall via all the various social media platforms. Also, make sure to join Barbra's Facebook group to just receive more personalized and specific training information for you and your Corso. And if you want yet another way to support, visit barkerashop.com, where your purchase of unique Cane Corso human and dog apparel contributes directly to our rescue fund. All of those links will be in the description below, so definitely check those out and share them along with this podcast to fellow dog lovers and enthusiasts. And until next time, keep learning and stay proactive in your pet's healthcare. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.